Hey.
Flesh.
Hey.
Still and silent. It's finally over.
Of course.
Steady does it.
I've got it. Finished. I'll get it open. Finished. Hail, traveler.
Better indeed.
Dead on!
Better indeed.
How do you do?
How fares your search? Well, let's hear it. This is troubling. That civilization seems to have known more about the mechanics of souls than anyone since. The leaden key was born in that period. It may be that Theos has full knowledge of their technology. The applications of this machine you speak of, I don't want to think about it. That isn't enough to take to the Duke, but we're close. Avar Wolfgren is a cautious man. He will want to know everything possible before being moved to action. I had feared they might be involved in Widewind's legacy. It seemed too extreme even for them. How naive I've been. The Leaden Key's conspiracy is clear now. They have used Engwithan technology to engineer Widewind's legacy, and they want people to blame Animancy for it. As we speak, the Duke is holding hearings in the palace. He is listening to arguments for and against Animancy. When they finish, he is expected to decide whether to outlaw it. It seems the Leaden Key has been pushing Deerwood down this path for some time. I, for one, would enjoy seeing their little scheme fouled up at the last moment. Our Duke must hear what you have to say. Unfortunately, the hearings are closed to the public, which makes the Duke inaccessible until they are completed. However, certain groups have been invited to attend. You might get in with one of them if you aren't above a little pandering. There are delegations from the Knights of the Crucible, the Dozens, and from House Dominel. If you can gain the support of one of those groups, that may be your best way in. See what you can arrange. What of them? We would only do that as a last resort. Walking in with one of the 3 invited groups puts you in a position of influence. Walking in alone as a representative of Dunreed Row would earn you distrust among all the rest. It seems our organization has a reputation for nosiness and manipulation, for whatever reason. It would be best if people did not see Dunreed Row's hand in this. Easier for them to embrace the truth. Avar is many things to many people, and that is why he sits the throne. To the frontiersmen, he is one of their own. To the patriotic, he is a sole descendant of Admeth Hadrit. To the nobility, he is from an old and established family. All of these are half-truths or exaggerations, a tale he has spun around himself. The man behind the tale may not be the greatest mind in Deerwood, but he knows people. He knows when they are sincere and when they lie. He knows when they are strong and when they are weak. The other matters he leaves to me. Outwardly, he prefers to come off a bit of a simpleton. Don't be fooled. Before he was a duke, he was a trapper, and an excellent one at that.
Eder, how is it you Eothasians stay so optimistic? The world has not given your kind much reason to hope.
You get to a certain point and you realize you got 2 options. You can go mad with grief and tear out all your hair and check yourself into the sanitarium. Or you can wait for better days.
Well, feathers in my case. But I understand your point. The Crucible Knights have their ambitions, but the stability of Defiance Bay is foremost in their mind. The Dukes are thinking only of their trading assets, not the long-term health of our partners in the Deerwood. If Defiance Bay falls, all we will have left are overland routes. Not much comfort.
Indeed. Duke Avar looks to the knights for prudent counsel as well as defense. I suspect our future as a city and a nation will depend in no small part on how we handle this matter.
How fares your search? I've told you everything you need to know. It's only right that you know everything. When I was younger, before Dunreed Row, I had many suitors. These were fine-looking men of good stock, but I could see their thoughts, and they were unimpressive. Boys' thoughts. I toyed with their affections. I resented all of them. And then I met a man whose mind was a mystery to me. But he understood me. He knew me at a glance, told me things I didn't know about myself. He was neither handsome nor charming, but he was all I ever wanted. We made a game of my gift. He would ask me about people, and I would tell him what they were thinking. Sometimes the information was very sensitive. And then one day he asked me if I trusted him. I said I did. Next I knew I was donning a silver mask and swearing oaths to Woodica. Using my gift for the leaden key still felt like a game to me, so I did it. I did it because it pleased him. I don't like living in the dark. It's a powerless, hopeless feeling. Every day I did things without knowing their purpose. Every day I loved a man without knowing his thoughts of me. I sensed that there were things he wanted to tell me. I sensed that he knew everything the leaden key was created to hide. But Theos was unyielding. One day I disappeared without a word. He would kill me for it, and I knew that. It's their rule. I just wanted to see him plunge the knife, because then I would know. But the day never came. He has left me to wonder. I have devoted my years to learning everything I could about him, in hopes I would find some clue as to who he really was, and why he felt he had to keep his secrets locked away. I have precious little to show for it. Just an old woman nagged by old thoughts. And that is truly everything I can tell you about Theos. I hope you will accept this embarrassing story as a show of my good faith. What of them? Good. Avar Wolfgren looks to the Crucible Knights as a voice of reason and order. Speaking from their section should lend you credibility with him. You need waste no more time here. Get to the palace. Make your case to the Duke. With him on our side, all of Deerwood can be mobilized against the Leaden Key, and Theos can be rooted out. I only wish I could be there to see it. There is a very old bottle of a very good brandy that I have been saving for a special day. If you hurry back afterward, there may be a little left for you. Off with you. You're going to do very well in there.
Well then, answer me this, Master Barash. If you Animancers represent our best hope to cure the legacy, what progress can you demonstrate?
Ramir de Barask is originally from Palminia. He's one of the finest minds in Animancy to come out of the Valian Republics. He left for Defiance Bay 5 years ago, because he believed this was the true heart of Animancy research.
As I've said, it isn't about progress, it's about potential.
My house would agree, Your Grace. We see great potential in its future.
And I suppose your blazing profits during the legacy don't have nothing to do with that, do they, Dominel? You can't have it both ways no more! Animancy goes, or this country goes!
So you admit, Master Barask, that Animancy is no closer to stopping the legacy than it ever was.
No, we've had many promising experiments. Cadman Azo has shown...
Cadman Azo murdered a child. For a complete failure. We should be hanging him right now for what he done. The dozens won't stand for it.
There is no need. Master Azo recently passed the Shroud, and while the experiment failed, his work...
Ah, our new delegate from the Knights of the Crucible. What makes you say sabotage?
The fuck's that even matter? These are people who would toy with the lives of our children!
Indeed. Even assuming there was sabotage, is this Animancer Azo not still accountable here?
Exactly! Look at what happened in Heritage Hill. Our supposed protectors from Crucible Keep can't even clean up the messes Animancy leaves!
Your Grace, we'd have a much easier time of it if our knights weren't so occupied trying to keep their organization from igniting a revolution on our very doorstep.
Heritage Hill is blood on your hands, Justiciar! You turn a blind eye, and look what happens!
You've some strange taste in travels, friend. The height of your tales expands with every breath. I had heard whispers of a new delegate set to attend today's hearing. I admit that your candor was mentioned more than once. Tell us what you saw in Heritage Hill. Even if it is as you say, we have testimony that a group of Animancers had been spending time there. Surely their tinkering had something to do with this.
Animancy has many enemies. You need only look around this room to see it.
You're missing the point! Everywhere there's Animancers, there's disaster! We all know what Widewind's legacy's really about. And it ain't about some sparkling saint from Creed Ceres who's mad because he took a stroll down the wrong bridge! It's about a bunch of so-called intellectuals fucking with the natural order while the rest of us gotta suffer for it!
Is it, though? Should we not take the time to reach a clear conclusion? I mean, what proof do we have?
My son and daughter are buried beneath the floor of my house. We don't own no land, so that's where we lay them. My son, my wife let him slip when she was bathing him. Got water in his lungs, he couldn't cough up. My daughter, we put her to bed one night, and the next morning she wasn't breathing. This Hollowborn thing, it ain't ending. And it ain't ending because we still let these charlatans play God. There's your proof, you damn copper fucker!
Enough, Adric. Lady Dominel makes a point. If it's animancy, then why do the other states that permit the practice not suffer the same fate? Who among us can say he truly understands why the legacy has taken hold here?
Beasts. Another lunatic at the hearing. Did you remember to lock your sanitarium before you left, Master Barask?
You must know, friend, that the leaden key is a mantle for small-time ruffians and children at play. I'm not saying you're a liar. Not yet. But you'd better start making sense of all this. Help us believe you.
The only piece of evidence.
The only piece of evidence that doesn't send your kind to the gallows, you mean?
You've made an unexpected case, friend. I'll say that much. It seems we have a new possibility to consider, at the very least. How was it you came to learn all this? Indeed. This land is foreign to you, unless I miss my guess. Your efforts on its behalf are to be commended. But these hearings are about more than Widewind's legacy, even though that is our most pressing concern. Let's say for the moment that I were to take you at your word that our friends in Brackenbury Sanitarium and their peers bear no responsibility for this curse upon my country. I'm curious, what would you do if you were in my position? Very well. That is all I wish to hear. Not just from you, but from everyone. Many days we've been at this. It is time we put it to rest. I want to thank the delegations for helping me to collect my thoughts. In particular, I want to thank our new delegate, who has given me much to think about, and who alerted me to a new enemy I had failed to see. The time has come to choose a direction for the Deerwood. I am ready to make my pronouncement. Ramir D. Barash, representing the interests of animancers in Deerwood, step forward.
Your Grace.
The arguments for and against animancy are both strong in their own way. I must be careful in my judgment.
Forgive me, Your Grace. We will accept no judgment but our own.
What's he doing?
No, wait!
Stop this at once!
I've given you every chance to end this pursuit. Shall I end it for you? Another time. I am already late. Shall I end it for you?
I am already at peace, Grand Inquisitor. Are you?
So be it. If you desire no end, you shall have none. I find you guilty of heresy. May the eternal prison bar your soul from passage, for it is beyond redemption.
I was a fool to think I could tame these people.
You came closer than most.
A fine epitaph.
No worse than any.
What's in Twin Elms?
Did you pull that from my thoughts?
I've had time to practice. I was saving that for someone.
Pity. You know this is how it has to be.
Prove it.
Smoke rises above the city walls in billowing plumes that blacken the sky like a storm. Behind the walls, the riots rage on. Known patrons of Animancy are forced into hiding as looters ransack their estates and make off with their possessions. Animancers are torn away from their families and dragged from their homes to be stoned to death in the streets. Word had spread immediately that Duke Avar had been assassinated, and that an Animancer was to blame. The city wasted little time in exacting revenge, and little effort into evaluating guilt. In the center of it all, Brackenberry Sanitarium burned. And down the lane, Hodred House, the last bastion of stability in the Deerwood, had fallen silent. Now safely outside the city gate, your path points eastward to Twin Elms, where Theos is bound, for reasons that remain mysterious as the leaden key itself.
Of course. Please stop. I need to tell you something. I have not been entirely honest about my motives for traveling with you up to this point. When I finished my training in Adir, I was introduced to an organization. All I knew was that they were opposed to the unchecked spread of animancy, and that they could guarantee me postings far away from the Seathwood my father and his Earl. At that time, it was enough. In the early years, I thought of them as many things. Hooded men, prudent teachers, the leaden key. Their rules were strict, but their guidance was clear. I sincerely believed they wanted to keep Kith from the folly of their own foolish ambitions. I came to the Deerwood a little over a year ago. My orders were to gather information on animancy in the region. A senior contact met with me every few months to receive my reports and issue new leads. She sent me to Gilded Vale to keep an eye on events surrounding the local lord, but I lost track of her shortly after that. I don't know if she was reassigned, killed, or sacrificed the way you saw. At the time you met me, I'd been on my own for a couple of months. I needed some kind of direction. And after that scrape with the locals, I was ready to get out of town. But then you mentioned the hooded figures in the machine, and I was sure you were on the trail of the leaden key. And I was correct in a way. What we found wasn't what I expected. I knew the leaden key was trying to stop animancy, but I didn't realize how far they'd gone. Murder, sabotage, abandoning entire districts to shambling horrors. And now the whole city is up in flames. I'm still not sure about animancy, but I know I've been following the wrong master. Please, accept my apology, and my service. Let me fight with you to stop Theos.
And what do you really expect us to do with this too-late confession? Trust you on your word?
That would be an honor.
Looks a little healthier than before.
Hey! You gotta stop it with that. I just about punched you to snap you out of it. You're saying things, but they weren't any words I ever heard. You were shaking so hard I thought you'd crack your spine. Yeah, so I noticed. I'd woken you sooner, but I thought it'd be nice for you to be able to close your eyes a bit. Folks don't last long without sleep. You're twitchy these days. Reminds me of Meyerwald more than I'd like. Anything I can do, you just let me know. We're close on this one. Hang on a little longer. We'll get you fixed up. Of course. Say what you want about Dear Woodens. They haven't met the problem yet they couldn't solve by killing some scapegoats.
You set out for Stalwart. The White March rises up in the distance, stretching to the north and south as far as the eye can see. It beckons to you with peaks like broken fingers. The road thins to a tattered ribbon, and the shadow of the mountains falls across your path. You've barely begun your climb when the darkening sky pummels you with hailstones and turns the ground beneath you to ice. You press on. The air grows thin, and the treacherous mountain passes funnel screeching winds past your ears. A blizzard forces you to make camp for 3 days, huddling for safety while snow piles around your refuge. At last the weather clears, and you approach Stalwart under a crisp blue sky. There's a noise, high and sharp, coming from the village that sounds at first like another frozen gale. But when you top the rise and reach the village's wooden gates, you see what lies beyond them.
It's Darzier, with a whole pack of them!
We can take these bastards!
Lava will be on seat! Lava! Leave it to me! All right, then.
Look out! More of them by the fishery!
Lava will be on seat!
We need help! This way! Stand fast! Reinforcements are here!
You're not getting through me.
We're stalwart!
Lavaru, you're not getting... Hey.
Darzir's fallen! Back to the matron, now!
Katie's house is burning! Hurry! They're both in there!
Of course.
Help! The hut's coming down! Katie, thank the gods you saved her.
Fresh fish, freshly caught! Effigy's eyes! It looks at me! Ah!
You must forgive, Zawa. I was not expecting you. Resting my eyes, I thought, waiting for the Malkachoa to bring me insight. It would seem I dozed. A good thing my master was not alive to see it. Are you real? Of course. I meant no offense. but I find it is best to ask when Malkachoa is involved. It can reveal the true nature of many things. A teacher, not an owner. Zawa is a free man. Well, as free as any of us. I was freeing myself from vanity. Consider, how can one be vain who is bathed in the smell of dead fish? I had the idea when I passed this way earlier. I am pleased with the results so far. Yes, quite pleased. From battle, yes. I left them upon my enemies. These were struck against fear. These against pleasure. These against hatred. Those down there against greed and doubt. And these were for vanity. I cannot take credit for all of them, but I did most of the good ones. I put them there in battle to remind myself what is real and what is not. Our worst enemies are inventions of the mind, pleasure, fear. When we see them for what they are, we become unstoppable. I feel I have been close, but never for more than an instant. In the moment when the pain is sharpest, the world becomes clear. In that moment, I am a match for anyone. Of course, I am fortunate to have suffered so much. If I did not suffer, I would not aspire to free myself from it. I would wander from one unfulfilling goal to the next. More wealth, a better station. My soul would wither. But to search for a place beyond suffering's reach is to nurture the soul, to harden it against the elements. Suffering is the greatest gift the gods have given us, their most beautiful, perfect creation. It is the hand that turns the wheel. Gods know. What a way to travel the world. The usual way is to smear yourself with the ashes of the dead. But they do not burn their dead here, so I have to make do with what the land provides. The cold seems to conquer the smell. Even now, the scent hides itself. Disappointing. I was visiting a monastery not far from here. I found it empty, but I met a messenger as I left. He carried a call for aid. Seeing that he would find no monks at the monastery, I chose to go in their place. Zawa is no longer young, but in combat he is still the greatest of the Takan people. It seemed only right that he should go. I would not say I am hired. I seek no wage, and I promise no result. I have chosen a path, and my spoils come from walking it. And this fortress, this Durgan's battery, its people are gone. Zawa would know why. If one wishes to swim, it is no time to argue with the current. We are here together in this moment because a perfect force has willed it. Who is Zawa to argue? I will walk with you so long as the gods wish it so.
We should check the barrels for more crazy
Back to
monks.
work, everyone. No time for dallying. A fine thing you reached us when you did. They would have burned the fishery next, mark my words. And the last thing this lot needs is another excuse to knock off early. Anyway, excuse the mess. If there's something you need, the clerk can get you sorted. Just watch your step if you have a mind to look around. The floors are slick and none too pleasant to fall on. Been running it 4 decades now. Reckon I can tell you what you want to know. It may stink of fish guts, but there's no place more critical to Stalworth's survival. Herds come and go, so there's seasons when our catch sustains the village. But try telling these folk as much. We go home each day covered to the elbows in fish oil and entrails, reeking of our work. Stalworth's shrinking, but it would disappear if we lost the fishers. I drive 'em hard, but I can't afford to do otherwise. Just about everything. I track the day's catches and see that our nets and hooks are in working order. My family's been in charge of the fishery since the early days of Stalworth. I know the best spots to find frost dive or an iron-toothed pike, and I make sure we don't overfish the speckleback. Need anything else?
At least it's not Gilded Vale.
Oh, it's working! Yes! I can't believe it! It's really... Oh. My ore locating divination tool. Well, that's what it will be. I have to calibrate it. Right now it seems to think you're a copper deposit. My Animancer contacts did suggest that a particular strong soul essence might interfere. I'm more interested in minerals in any case. I suppose that's possible. It's not exactly what I'm looking for, unfortunately. I'm trying to recreate the instruments that first led the Pargrin dwarves to this mountain. This is my latest prototype. Centuries ago, dwarves carrying tools just like this one followed their readings to what is now the battery. If I can recreate their work, then I may be able to find ore deposits elsewhere. I was hoping to test it, but my arrival was delayed by word of the ogre attack. I haven't been able to find anyone to venture up the mountain since. Really? That'd be wonderful. I just have to adjust the device, you see. It should point you toward metal deposits. We already know the battery rests on some rich veins, but I was hoping to get a reading of the surrounding mountainside. If you can follow the readings to ore and bring back a sample, I can use it to refine the device. Thanks ever so much for this.
I'm on the trail.
I'll get it open.
Must be soon. 2 days, no
Finished.
more. Sorry. Didn't hear you come in. My ears aren't what they used to be. I'm Thiersch. I've lived here long enough that Kith have started calling me the Old Hunter. And that's about all I can say for myself. Wasn't the ogres, I can tell you that. Put a few arrows in one of those and they generally have the good sense to back off. But I've been hunting this wolf for near a year now. A man-eater. Cunning, nasty thing. Every time I get close, it just slips away. The beast has already claimed many lives. The first victim was my son, Saldrin. Got the better of me this last time. Distracted me long enough for one of its kin to turn up. Nearly bit me clean in half. I'm a few weeks out from trying again. No ordinary wolf. A monster. This creature is big. And I see the signs it leaves behind. The mess it made to the last couple of hunters and the elk. Doesn't always finish its meals. Damn thing might be sick. Might have a bullet in its jaw. Something. In any case, it needs to be put down. It roams the russet wood out to the west. Seems to have decided the lake is a good place to find prey. Yeah. It's picked off some scattered ogres from time to time. But mostly it's been going after hunters, travelers. Nothing to tell. Near misses, all of them. One time he clambered right up the cliffs to avoid my snares. Another time, he chased a bear into my camp. I nearly had him once. I could hear him below, eating, and I had the gun aimed right for him. Until the wind changed. He charged headlong into the tree to get at me. Nearly knocked me off my perch. And when I righted myself, he was gone. It needs doing. But I warn you, this beast is not to be trifled with. It must make its lair somewhere to the west. If you mean to go there, keep your wits about you. Watch yourself on the mountain. In these lean times, everything looks like prey to something. Coming to your elders for advice, is it? What can I do for you? Well, I can tell you it won't be here much longer if things go on as they are. With the mines closed, we've lost what put us on the map in the first place. We're losing people every month. Too many mouths to feed and not enough to support them. Even the game's dwindling. I've been lucky. I've hides and horns enough to keep the traders happy, but now the ogres are picking the rest of us off. The moment we started looking into Durgan's battery, it was like we'd kicked a hornet's nest. You made a good showing against that last group, by the way. I think you've given them reason to think twice about coming back. It's been a colder season than usual, and the elk herds aren't faring well. We're stuck fighting with the ogre clans and the wolves over what's left. Not to mention the occasional beast. We've lost a lot of young hunters. It has. We had some hope in the early days that we'd be spared, isolated as we are. That hope died in a hurry. Not everyone's been so unlucky, of course. You'll see a few pampered sprats around. Long hours checking snares and waiting out elk, mostly. Used to hunt some of the big ones. Bear, stelgare. But up here, it comes down to necessity. Which means keeping Stalwart fed, or else keeping it safe. Thing is, the last hunt didn't go so well, as you can see.
Don't see the harm. Building's thirsty work. Figured you'd be out of here in a flash after the fighting died down. Most people don't stick around after they figure out the ogres are making regular visits. I would have helped fight them monsters off, you know, if I didn't think I'd just get in the way. And with you there to handle things, everything turned out well enough, didn't it? Don't see why Havrick's still sour at me. Oh, Havrick's the innkeeper over at the Grave's Rest. I may have been hiding in the inn when the fighting started. The raid didn't improve his disposition any. Did you know he has a whole case of Fenlin liquor in there? I keep offering to buy it off him, but he says he's saving it up for when the battery's open again. As if we're gonna last that long. Anyhow, he said he'd thrash me up and down the mountain if I didn't leave him be. It's delusional is what it is. Point of fact, what with you dealing with ogres and everything, maybe you'd, you know, be willing to help me out. Havrick keeps all the good stock in the inn cellar. Out of sight, you see. I mean, it's bound to be under lock and key, but I'm sure he wouldn't miss a single bottle. Not with everything that's going on. Well, Havrick can be a little intimidating when it comes to his beverages. But otherwise, not much, I guess. Shh, all right, keep it down. I didn't mean anything by it. But if you happen to come across some, then maybe you could share?